Nobody warns you about this part of life. There's no preparation for the moment when you realize your role is changing, not ending, just shifting. I've been reflecting on that shift and what it means to go from being needed every single day to learning how to love your children from a little bit further away. I'm learning to be a parent to adult children while also figuring out who I am now and where my life is headed next. I've talked about moving to Japan later in life, but I also want to add in why I made such a big decision. And for me, a lot of this did start when my kids became adults and my whole role changed. I feel like this is a stage of life we don't talk about enough, so in this video, I'm going to talk about it. The first order of events is to get the house ready for my boys and their friends who are coming to visit just in a couple of weeks for Christmas. So I've got a lot of work to do to get this house ship-shape. I've got to get all the futons out in the sun, and Millie was like, "What have you done to my futon?" But I really need all of the mattresses and futons I have, so everything is getting out in the sun. I'm going to wash all of the sheets one more time, get it all out, and get everything ready. It's such a beautiful sunny day today, and this weekend is promising to be sunny the whole time. All of this focus on my boys arriving made me think and reflect back of some of my favorite memories. And a lot of them that I have with the boys growing up are just their everyday memories. Just weekends sitting in the cold watching the rugby or going to watch their basketball or volleyball games, taking them on their driving lessons, and all of the things you have with boys, like them walking through the house saying, "What's for dinner?" Making them protein meals with chicken and broccoli, all of the things that they love to eat. At the time, I'm sure those years felt like they would last forever. But now it feels like it was all in the blink of an eye. It was only a few years ago that my oldest son told me he was leaving for 3 months of training. It was right at the start of COVID and lockdowns and restrictions, and there was uncertainty everywhere. I wasn't allowed to go and see him off. I remember he walked out the door and I literally cried for 2 weeks. Not because I wasn't proud. I was so proud of him, but because it hit me, this chapter of living under the same roof, it's ending. That sadness stirred a feeling inside of me, and I think it was the feeling of loss. The loss of being needed as much as I was as a parent. It was pushing me into a different phase of what I was and how much I was needed by the boys. Once it hit me, I started counting backwards. Only 2 years, maybe less, until both my boys were gone. I even joked with my son and I said, "Can you just live with me forever?" And he laughed and said, "Mum, I don't want to be 40 playing video games in my bedroom still." And he was right. At some point, you just have to let go. And I slowly, not in a dramatic way, just had to sit with that and think, what's next for me? Who am I when I'm not parenting every day? Because I'd already been through the emotional upheaval of my oldest son moving out of home, I was fully prepared for my second son to become an adult. So when I spoke to him about coming to Japan, moving to Japan, he was, very supportive of the idea because he was also ready to be out and doing things on his own. He didn't need me as much anymore. In fact, I probably needed him more than he needed me. He's very independent and always has been from a young age. Now my life has changed so much since those days. I don't wake them up in the morning anymore. I don't have to remind them to put their lunchbox in their bag, and I don't have to protect them from every disappointment. The hardest part is probably learning to say, "You'll be fine," and biting your tongue so you don't jump in and fix everything. I still have that natural urge to want to fix everything that's going on in their lives. Being away from the kids taught me something very important, and that is you can raise strong kids, but you also have to trust them enough to let them live their own story. So all the washing's on the line, I've thrown out all the cardboard that's in the house, and now I've come into town to the Kintetsu building. There's a brand new store just opened in Wakayama called Hands, and I'm after some more Christmas goodies to put in my postcards or my Christmas cards for the postcard club. If you want to join, I still have a few cards left. You can scan the QR code or there's a link in the description. I'm sending out Christmas cards with lots of little goodies inside them. Once I run out of Christmas cards, I'm moving on to New Year's cards, which I'm currently in the design process at the moment. I'd love it if you joined. Since moving to Wakayama, I've met a lot of new friends, and back when the kids are at school, most of my friendship groups were around the parents of the friends of my kids at school. So it's been really interesting meeting these other people where we don't have the kids in common. One of my neighbours that I often see when I'm out walking has told me they have an exhibition at a gallery today, and would I please come along? So that's what I'm doing this morning. I'm popping in to check out his exhibition. ありがとう。ありがとうございます。今言ってましたね。英語でタイトルつけたらどうしてって言うから来てくれるかもわからんって言ってた。ほんまに言ってた。今言ってた。Of course, I got permission to film, and then my neighbor went through and explained all of his artwork. It is a mix of sort of mixed media, so there was some painting, some resin, some pen work, all sorts of things. I'm not an expert on art, but it just looked absolutely beautiful, and his work is on display in this entire gallery, and he just so happened to have a friend here with him, and his friend is also a local actor actually, and he was inviting me to his next show, which is in December. Two of the happiest people I've met, and the artist asked me to sign his book, so of course I signed with my Life is Journey, and then I was on my way again. This weather is too beautiful to ignore, so I'm going to go home, grab Millie, and I'm going to take her for a little drive. I thought we might go and look at the sunset somewhere and just enjoy the last of this beautiful long weekend. It's a nice day for a drive, and there's a lovely river spot. It's about 40 minutes drive from where I live, and a lot of people take their animals and pets for walks along the river. So I thought it might be good to get Millie out in the sun and give her a little walk. As I was driving, I was thinking about this video and what I might say, because I knew I wanted to talk about what it's like when things change, when your kids grow up and you enter a different part of life. And I thought the one thing that I wanted to be for my kids was the soft place to land. And I want them to learn the way I have through my life, and that's through trying things out, failing, getting back up and trying again. I think that it's probably one of the hardest transitions in a parent's life is to let your kids fall down and let them learn through failing and getting back up. And it's probably something that we're not really taught ourselves, because we always want to try and fix everything as mums. We want to try and help them in every way we can, but it is also going to be important to let them fall down a couple of times so that they can learn themselves. I know I've made plenty of mistakes in my life and bad choices, but these are the things that shape us into what we are. With the boys growing up, it's really forced me to look at myself not as mum anymore, but as me. and ask myself, like, what do I want to do next? What kind of life do I want to wake up to every day? What parts of myself have I been putting on hold for decades? And I guess this is where the idea of Japan had started to creep back in. It wasn't just my work-life situation. It was also a thinking of what's next for me now. I wanted a life where I could reinvent myself as this new person and discover who I was outside the walls of motherhood. As I've been here and living in Japan, I am really realizing that middle age isn't an ending. It's a huge turning point, and it's a chance to build a life that fits who you are now. Not who you were at 25, it's who you are right now, and all of those journeys you've had up till now lead you to this point. I can just see some of the comments now. Look what's happened to you. You've turned into a crazy cat lady. Millie just brings me so much light and comfort into my days here. She makes me laugh, she keeps me company, and she's definitely part of my everyday routine now. Millie probably softens the edges of missing my boys. She's my companion, and of course, my kids are always the center of my heart, but Millie just adds to it. Having both the boys here for Christmas is just going to be so magical. It's hard to believe, because it's been so long, that we're going to have all of us under the same roof again, even if it's just for a couple of weeks. Being together like this is something that I'm really going to treasure, and I'm going to really enjoy this time with them. You know, I look at them now as adults and I think, wow, we made it. We made it through all of the ups and downs and the hard parts, and getting through high school and moving on into their next stages of life. And look at who you've become now, just two fine young men that I'm very proud of course. So I'm going to savor every second of this time that's coming up for Christmas, because I know now how these moments are so rare. We're all off living our own lives, and that's exactly what's supposed to happen. I'm really glad I forced myself to get out of the house and go for this drive. It's such a beautiful sunset, really nice to enjoy this view. This roadside station also had a farmer's market attached, so I was really lucky. I was able to grab some mandarins and also some umeboshi, some of my favorite things. But it is going to be dark very soon, so I want to head on the road so I'm not driving too late at night. But one of the things I wanted to say in this video is that if you're also in this phase of life too, where your kids are growing up and the house is getting quieter, and there's that strange mix of pride in your kids, but also the loss of you as a parent, I guess. I mean, you're not going to stop being a parent, but your loss of being needed as much in that role. But I just wanted to let you know that I think you're not losing your role. You're just learning a new one. And that's what I'm discovering each day. I'm just learning to be a different version of me. And I'm discovering that there's a new chapter in my life now. And I'm okay with that. Are you in the thick of parenting, or are you child-free, or are you like me? Are you an empty nester? I'd love to hear what stage of the journey you're at. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again next week. See you later.